My parents mocked my online venture for years, until I pulled in $1.2 million and left their prize star stunned silent at her own graduation bash. My name is Aiden. I'm 31 now, and if there's one lesson I've taken from family, it's that they'll cheer you the loudest, unless your wins start making them uneasy. And I never followed the usual path. While most of my relatives were off at college chasing degrees in law, medicine, or anything else that gave parents something to boast about, I stayed locked in my old bedroom, building an e-commerce brand from nothing. At first, the business only offered custom phone cases, then graphic tees. Then it exploded. While they were polishing resumes and begging for internships, I was filing taxes for an LLC and handling six-figure inventory. Yet to my mother, I remained between jobs. That's how she introduced me at weddings and family gatherings. This is Aiden. He's still sorting things out. Though my company didn't count until some corporate title stamped it legitimate. The graduation party that finally pushed me over the edge was for my cousin Sophia. She was 23, fresh out of an elite university with a degree in international relations, and the undisputed family favorite. You know the kind, student council leader, fluent in 3 languages, volunteers at animal shelters, and somehow looks flawless in every photo. Growing up, I never had real issues with her. We were polite enough. Not close, but never hostile. Still, Sophia carried this subtle aura, like she expected applause after every sentence. Her parents, my aunt and uncle, fed into it. Every small milestone got its own celebration. A party, a framed certificate, a mass text, and a Facebook album called Sophia's Latest Triumph. When the invitation to her graduation party arrived, I knew exactly what was coming. A lavish backyard event at their upscale suburban house. String lights, champagne, an over-the-top rented tent. What I didn't anticipate was the job they'd hand me. I arrived a bit early to skip the rush, only to find Aunt Kara waiting with a bright orange safety vest in her hand. Perfect timing. Aiden, we were hoping you could handle parking. Cars are lined up all the way down the street. No greeting. No, so glad you're here. Just the vest, a walkie-talkie, and a quick pat. As if I'd shown up for a weekend shift. I stared at her. I'm not staffing the party, Kara. I came as a guest. She chuckled like I'd cracked a joke. Come on, just for an hour or so. You're good with logistics, aren't you? From your little online shop. I should have walked away right then. I should have handed back the vest and said no. But some stubborn sense of family duty made me take it. For the first hour and a half, I directed luxury SUVs onto patchy grass and helped older relatives navigate uneven ground with their walkers. No one came to replace me. No one offered me a drink. By the time I finally slipped away to a folding table at the back, dusty and sweating, the real festivities were in full swing. A huge glittery banner stretched across the yard. Congratulations, Sophia. A brand new Kia Soul sat behind a red ribbon at the driveway entrance. Guests clustered around the dessert table with drinks and plates. My mother sat front row center, beaming like she'd raised Sophia herself. I spotted my name scribbled on a paper place card tucked under a decorative plant near the buffet, far from the main seating. Sophia was radiant. She wore a shimmering white dress that caught every light, gliding from group to group like a seasoned politician. When someone handed her a microphone, she tapped it theatrically and laughed. I just want to thank you all for being here, she said, lifting her champagne glass. It means the world to be surrounded by people who truly appreciate dedication and genuine education, especially in an era when it's so easy to get sidetracked by internet side projects. She looked right at me as she said it. The pause was deliberate. The dig was precise. And how did everyone respond? With laughter. Genuine laughter. My uncle let out a snort. Cousin Jason nearly choked on his drink. Even my mother offered a strained, embarrassed smile, like she was trying not to join in but couldn't help it. Heat crawled up my neck. I stared at the water beating on my untouched glass, forcing myself to stay calm. Not yet. Sophia went on, unfazed or maybe just emboldened. Some of us invested 4 years earning a degree that actually matters. No apologies. More chuckles. She clinked glasses with nearby friends and handed the mic back like she just delivered a killer closing line. My mother caught my eye, gave a tiny shrug, and mouthed, she didn't mean it. Truth is, I didn't care about the card. I didn't care about the banner, the speech, or the fact that every group photo seemed to crop me out, leaving me half hidden behind foliage like hired help. What stung was the accumulated years of quiet put-downs. The smirks whenever I tried to explain my work. My own mother would steer conversations away from my updates to gush about which of Sophia's professors once advised the State Department. But as I sat there with dirt on my shoes and a warm drink in hand, something shifted inside me. I waited until the final toast ended, the applause faded, and people drifted toward the makeshift dance floor with its Bluetooth speaker pumping pop hits. Then I stood, brushed off my pants, and walked straight to the head table where Sophia and her friends were posing beside the new car, still riding the high of her moment. "Hey Sophia," I said, loud enough for those nearby to hear. She froze mid-laugh, clearly not expecting a response. "Yeah?" she asked, eyes narrowing slightly. I lifted my glass and smiled. "Just wanted to say congratulations. Seriously. Must feel amazing knowing your degree brought you all this, and that your family backs you every step of the way." I took a slow sip. My little internet side gig just cleared 1.2 million this year. "But hey, sweet Kia." Dead silence. Sophia's smile locked in place. A fork clattered onto a plate behind her. My uncle's jaw dropped. My mother blinked rapidly, processing. I didn't linger for the fallout. I simply nodded, turned, and walked toward the gate. The last sound I caught was a hushed, "Wait, what did he just say?" I had no interest in sticking around for the aftermath. As I headed down the gravel path to my car, I could feel stares burning into my back. I didn't look over my shoulder. I didn't need to. I said my piece. That small comeback would ripple through the crowd like a stone dropped in calm water. Honestly, I hadn't planned to speak up. I truly hadn't. But years of being the family's overlooked underachiever, the one stuck with odd jobs and subtle shade, had finally reached a limit, and Sophia's smug little jab? That was the final push. When I slid into my car and pulled away, no one followed. Not yet. By the time I reached my modern 3-bedroom home, the one I bought outright last year, my phone was already lighting up. First came the texts. One from my mother. "That was unnecessary, Aiden. You embarrassed everyone." Then another, "We'll talk later. Please don't blow this out of proportion." Aunt Kara chimed in. "Was that really called for? Sophia worked so hard for her degree. You're not the only one with achievements." I didn't reply. I powered off my phone, set it on the counter, and let the quiet of my own space settle over me. I slept better that night than I had in months. The fallout rolled in over the next couple of days. Monday morning, I opened my work email to find 3 new interview requests. Apparently one of Sophia's friends had searched my brand after the party and was genuinely impressed. This wasn't some casual side hustle. That distinction mattered to me. A month earlier, I might have passed the inquiries to my assistant. Now, I scheduled the calls myself. For once, I wanted people to hear my story straight from me. Tuesday evening, my mother showed up unannounced. She rang the bell holding a Tupperware dish. Like it was still the old days when I needed homemade meals and lectures, I opened the door cautiously. "Hi," she said softly. "I brought dinner." I stepped aside and let her in. She lingered in the entryway, taking in the clean-lined furniture, original artwork, and smart home features, like she was seeing it all for the first time. "You've built something impressive," she finally said. "Yeah," I answered. "I have." She set the container on the counter. "You humiliated Sophia and the whole family. She's crushed." I crossed my arms and leaned against the island. "Mom, she ridiculed me in front of everyone. I didn't start it. I ended it." "But $1.2 million, she said the number like it was scandalous, as if speaking it might summon auditors. "It's the truth." She hesitated, jaw tight. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" I gave a soft laugh. "I did. You just never wanted to listen. You preferred the version of me that still needed guidance, the one that fit your narrative. Aiden, the college dropout still figuring life out. Someone you could feel sorry for. But I stopped needing that years ago." She sank onto a stool as if my words had winded her. "I never meant to pity you," she said quietly. "Then why was Sophia always the star, while I was just the kid tinkering with stickers in his room?" She had no answer. Instead she offered, "Sophia's job hunting, Nothing has panned out yet." I smiled thinly. "So the elite degree didn't open every door after all?" That earned a sharp look. "Don't be unkind. I'm not. I'm just done pretending. I've never really had a seat at the family table." She stood, smoothing invisible wrinkles from her shirt. "She wants to apologize," she muttered. "Does she?" I asked skeptically. She says she crossed a line. I didn't reply, I wasn't convinced. Not yet. Later that night, I finally checked my phone. Sophia's messages waited unread. Hey, about the party. What I said was out of line. It was wrong. Can we talk? I stared at the screen a long while, not because I was undecided, but because the balance of power had clearly shifted, and everyone felt it. For years, they'd pictured me scraping by on dreams and Wi-Fi. In reality, I'd quietly built an empire while they looked the other way. The next weekend brought the real turn. Aunt Kara called and left a voicemail. No heads up, just straight to the point. Aiden, I need to discuss something urgent. We've hit a financial snag. I hate bringing it up, but your uncle's hours were cut. And that new car lease for Sophia is stretching us thin. I know things got heated, but we're family. Right? The realization hit me hard. They weren't just embarrassed, they needed help. I replayed the message twice, stunned at how fast the tone had flipped. Days earlier, I was the family punchline in a safety vest directing traffic. Now I was their lifeline. I didn't return the call immediately. I let it sit, let the uncertainty build. I knew this cycle. Dismissal first, silence next, then sudden warmth and the "we're family" card the moment they wanted something. And this was definitely something expensive. I pulled up Sophia's Instagram. She'd posted a carousel from the party. The banner, her speech, the car keys, captioned, "To fresh starts and meaningful work that changes lives." Sure, meaningful work. I scrolled the comments. Dozens of hearts from relatives, friends, classmates. One even wrote, "Can't wait to see you at the embassy." I smirked. I knew she hadn't landed a single offer. My mother had let it slip while defending her. The golden girl who toasted real degrees and dismissed online ventures was now months into unemployment and clearly rattled. Still, I wasn't out for revenge. Not actively. Then my uncle rang. Aiden, hey, just wanted to clear the air. We love you, always have. That party stuff? Just friendly ribbing. Sophia's got a sharp sense of humor. Takes after me, he chuckled nervously. Kara mentioned the lease and left you a message. We're just a little pinched this month. It'd mean a lot if you could cover a couple payments while Sophia gets on her feet. I mean, you did mention business is booming, right? I sat frozen, gripping the phone. The audacity was almost impressive. No mention of the countless times I'd quietly covered gifts, holiday expenses, or emergencies while receiving folded chairs and subtle shade in return. No acknowledgement that Sophia's words were cruel, not playful, not funny. Just straight to the ask. That's when I opened the spreadsheet I'd kept for years. Nothing dramatic, just methodical. Every dollar I'd ever loaned or spent on this family. From the $300 to Jason for textbooks, never repaid, to the $2,000 to Kara and my uncle for their roof repair 2 winters ago. Every favor, every bill I'd covered to keep harmony. Grand total, $42,860. Not counting interest. Not counting emotional cost. Not counting the way they'd made me feel like an ATM with no real achievements. I stared at the figure a long time. Then I took a steady breath and drafted a message to Sophia. Hey, saw your text and gave it thought. I appreciate the apology, but I think we all need some honesty moving forward. You're right, you did work hard. That doesn't excuse belittling someone else's success, especially when you didn't understand it. More importantly, I'm realizing I've invested heavily in this family, financially and emotionally, for years and mostly received dismissal in return. I sent similar versions to my uncle, aunt, and more gently, my mother. She called instantly. Aiden, we need to talk about this. You can't just, yes, I cut in calmly. I can. And I just did. Silence stretched on her end. For once she had no prepared lines. Did you really make over $1 million last year? Yes. How? You never asked. Another long pause. What do you want from us? She finally whispered. That question lingered. Because the truth was, I didn't want anything. I just wanted them to stop assuming I'd always pick up the slack. I ended the call. Not angrily, but firmly. I was done performing. The facade was gone. The well had run dry. The family punchline had delivered its final line. Sophia didn't reply for 2 days. I figured she was fuming, drafting a polished comeback, or too mortified to speak. That I didn't mind either way. I said what needed saying. The weight I'd carried for years, guilt, duty, the constant feeling of being tolerated but never truly respected, finally lifted. I felt unburdened. Then, on the 3rd day, a calendar invite appeared. Coffee with Sophia Summers. Saturday, 10 a.m., Cafe Alder downtown. I stared at it, debating whether to decline. Curiosity won. I accepted, not expecting a miracle apology, but wanting to look her in the eye and see if anything real lay beneath the polished exterior. Saturday arrived gray and drizzly. Fitting weather. I got there early, ordered a plain black coffee. No extras. She walked in 5 minutes late, cream blazer, heels, expression carefully composed into humble. Even in the rain, Sophia dressed like the moment might become a photo op. Aiden, she said softly, sliding into the opposite seat. Thanks for coming. I didn't think you'd show. I admitted. I almost didn't, she replied. But here we are. We sat quietly for a moment while she stirred her cappuccino like a ritual. I read your message, she said at last. Twice. Okay. And you're right. I lifted an eyebrow. I was horrible, she continued. Not just at the party, for years. I downplayed your work because I didn't get it. And honestly, I was envious. That surprised me. Envious? I repeated. Yeah, she said, eyes on her cup. You figured out your path. You made it huge. Meanwhile, I'm here with a fancy degree, 0 job offers, and parents struggling to pay for a car they bought to impress people. That toast at the party? It was less about you and more about me propping myself up. I let her words settle without rushing to absolve her. I appreciate you saying that, I said carefully. But it doesn't erase years of digs, or the way everyone, including my own mom, treated me like I was lesser. I know, she whispered. That's on me. On all of us. I nodded, watching rain streak the window. Why did you really want to meet, Sophia? She hesitated, then bit her lip. Not for money, I promise. Good, because that door is shut. She nodded quickly. I get it. I didn't come to ask for anything. I just needed to own it. Out loud. I frowned. Confused. Out loud. She reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, opened Instagram, angled it toward me, and hit record on a story. Hi everyone, she began, voice slightly shaky but steady. This is awkward, but it needs saying. Last week at my graduation party, I made a cruel comment dismissing online businesses and anyone who builds outside traditional paths. It was small-minded and wrong. My cousin Aiden is one of the hardest working, most accomplished people I know. He created his company from the ground up, no safety net, no shortcuts, and I mocked him publicly for it. That was my mistake, and I'm sorry, not just to him, but to anyone I made feel lesser with that attitude. Real success isn't handed out with a diploma. It's earned through effort. Aiden, if you see this, thank you for holding me accountable. I needed it. She stopped recording, posted it immediately, and slipped the phone away. I sat stunned. That was unexpected, she shrugged. I deserved to squirm. You did, for years. Fair's fair. For the first time, I saw her not as the untouchable golden child, but as a young woman trying to shed the pedestal her family built, and maybe the one she'd helped construct. You're lucky I'm not vindictive, I said with a faint smile. She gave a small grin. Don't tempt fate. We stayed another hour, talking, not about money, jobs, or family drama, but about travel, books, ordinary things we'd never shared because we'd always been rivals or strangers. When we finally stood to leave, she hugged me. A real one, not an air kiss or quick pat. The kind that quietly says, I see you now. A week later, my mother called. Did you see the video? She asked cautiously. I did. She posted it without telling any of us. She didn't have to. I'm proud of you, she said, voice thick. And I'm sorry for how I talked about your work, for not listening, for not asking. I didn't rub it in. I simply said, thank you. The next family event was Uncle Rob's 4th of July barbecue a month later. I arrived in jeans and a polo as always, but this time no one handed me a vest or asked me to refill ice. Instead, Sophia walked over, plate in hand, and said, you're sitting with me. So I did. No speeches, no banners, no toasts, just easy conversation, shared stories, and a new kind of balance I hadn't felt in years. When someone asked what I do, Sophia answered first. He runs a multi-million-dollar online brand. It's incredible, you should see his operation. The quiet that followed was golden. No snorts, no eye rolls, just genuine interest and follow-up questions. I answered a few, smiled politely, and kept the rest private. Because now they wanted to know, and I no longer needed them to. The Kia was returned. Sophia landed a role at a nonprofit doing work she actually cared about, not what her parents scripted. Aunt Kara and Uncle Rob stopped calling with financial emergencies. My mother still doesn't fully grasp my business, But she brags about me now like I single-handedly pioneered e-commerce, that I still have that spreadsheet, not out of resentment, but as a reminder of boundaries I earned the right to set. People say success is the best revenge. I think clarity runs a close second. After all the noise, quiet feels like the sweetest victory. Thanks for sticking with this wild family saga. If you enjoy Reddit-style drama, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the next one.